Welcome back to another episode of the RoTKast, a podcast where we talk about anything and everything, well, mostly about Star Wars. I'm your host, Aaron Richland, and with me is my trusty homeboy, Sean Ritter. What up?
Ritter?
I can't even say my own name. I don't even know. But hey, I'll get it.
What up, man? What are we talking about today?
It's been a while since we've been putting out episodes. So, we're putting out episodes and stuff. And this episode's going to be a little different. Something we haven't done yet. I think...
something I'm really excited about, actually.
Yeah. So, we just found a few questions. Kind of, not really controversial. Just, general questions. And we're just going to read the questions and answer them. It's almost as if we had fans that sent us in questions, we would answer them. But since we don't, we found the questions, we're going to answer them as if they were from fans that we will have now that we're putting out more content. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get there.
Fingers crossed, man.
So we're going to go through a list of questions and we're going to answer them.
All right. Question number 1. What do we got here? Let's see. What is the best order to watch the Star Wars series? Very popular question, I feel like, and probably one of the questions I get asked most by people who really know us, because the people who really know us know that we are huge Star Wars fanatics, and I get asked this by more people than I care to admit, especially those who aren't as versed in Star Wars, who are trying to get into Star Wars. Like, we've got a friend, Bree, who recently started watching them, and she was asking.
She only recently started watching them? She didn't watch them in high school?
Huh,
interesting.
No, she didn't. She's actually been Snapchatting me about it. It's kind of funny. Anyway, I get asked this question more times than anything else, so I'm very excited to answer it.
Me too. And my sister-in-law, Mary, actually just watched, and it was the first question I asked her. Well, after, how'd you like it? Mm-hmm. My first question after that was,
what order did you watch them in?
And I also want to preface this. I think it has changed a little bit since Disney's taken over. Not just because of the 7, 8, 9. That's whatever. But because of the anthology films, right? Like the Rogue One and Solo.
Right.
So I think we could take
and
this
also
in
since they're
parts.
all available on one platform now.
Yeah.
Right. So
they all are at this point.
You can literally go to one streaming service and watch all
Disney
of
Plus.
them.
I've heard that is
except for Solo.
Good. And if you want to, rate the Android app, I've heard it's pretty good. I don't know.
Disney Plus?
Disney Plus. Yeah.
Oh, I heard it was a piece of shit, actually.
Well, I've heard it's pretty good. So,
I heard it was good on iOS, but I heard on Android it actually sucked dick.
I've heard it's pretty good on iOS as well. My colleagues
I didn't hear that.
Are pretty awesome.
I heard one of the devs is a piece of trash.
Well, one of the iOS devs? I don't know.
No, one of the Android devs.
Yeah, Taylor sucks, dude.
Yeah.
Side note. Sorry. Anyway, so let's start with. Should we kind of break it down into just the trilogies?
Let's play both sides. Let's talk about both ways to watch them, and then we can decide what we think is. So obviously,
my sister-in-law watched it with 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. She watched the release order.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So I think there's two. There's
and
two common things: release order and episodic order. Right. So 1 through 8.
Yeah.
Or 9. She liked it that way, I think. Just full disclosure, I think that's the way I would suggest to watch it to people, right? Is 4, 5, 6. Just watch the way that it was released, right? Simple enough.
We kind of ruined the whole reveal at the end
exactly.
to say which way you're going to watch it in, but that's fine, Aaron. Thanks for ruining that.
Wait. I thought you were saying you would you would ruin the reveal of Darth Vader is what when you said ruin the reveal.
Well, that's one of my big reasons as to why. All right, well, fuck it.
Who doesn't know that Darth Vader is Luke's father?
People who have never watched it.
But
even
it's
people
commonly
who have never
misquoted
watched
as Luke, I'm your father, right?
Which is misquoted. The wrong quote.
That's no, I am your father, right? Everyone knows that. Everyone who watches any TV, it's there.
It's been it's used in movies that don't have anything to do with Star Wars, and TV shows don't have anything to do with Star Wars. So it's very hard to avoid it. I get it. I get it. So for the very, very rare, small amount of people who have managed to avoid it up to this point, I would say definitely go original order, because that is probably the biggest reveal of in cinematic history. I mean,
that's
a little biased, I think, but it's one of the biggest reveals. All of 4 people knew that this is the way that it was going up until the movie was released. I don't think
Luke knew it until they filmed it, right? Like
Luke did not know until they pulled him aside as they were filming the scene to tell him about it so that he could react accordingly. Because they filmed it as, Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father, did he? And he said, he told me enough. He told me you killed him. And he said, no, Obi-Wan killed your father, is what they said when they were filming it. Only Mark Hamill, Irvin Kershner,
George
Lucas, obviously, because he wrote it.
And George Lucas' wife. Actually, I don't know.
And I actually think that might have been it. Those are the only people who knew that was the line. And obviously, James Earl Jones, because he had to
do that's the voice. Dubbed over after, right?
Right. But he didn't at the time, but still, it was just those 4 people who knew until the film was actually released.
Yeah.
And that was it. Those were the only people until it was actually shown to a live audience. That's gotta be like the biggest kept secret, the biggest spoiler of, because you gotta remember, like at the time, Star Wars was the biggest thing on the planet. It had made the most money out of any movie ever made. Yeah. And it's still, to this day, adjusting for inflation is technically second, but it was a huge fucking deal.
Can you imagine a time not knowing that and then watching that and being like, what the fuck?
Dude,
I don't remember.
I'm so jealous. I kind of want to like sit down with my mom at some point and like pick her brain about it, because she was a big Star Wars. She's ultimately the reason that I became such a big Star Wars fan. She showed me the movies when I was a little kid. And then I met this awesome dude who enriched my Star Wars fandom.
That'd be me.
No. That was Ben.
Ben.
Well, but then I met you, and then you here.
I forgot about old Ben.
No, it was
Ben Kenobi?
No, it was you. But I would love to like sit down and pick her brain about like, hey, Mom, what was it like to like
actually
experience
be there,
that? Yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, I did, but I was also like 4.
Exactly, right. I was a toddler, so I didn't really understand the significance. However, have you ever gone on YouTube to like watch kids' reactions?
I love it.
When that happens, there are some that are really fucking great. I highly recommend it.
Kids don't know, like, and are actually invested in it. Like, their minds are literally blown.
Literally
what the hell?
Exploding.
It's so cute. I love it.
And I like watching them because I like to imagine that that's what it was like to actually experience it for all these people who watched it originally in 1977.
Like, I'm trying to think of another movie that has been as shocking of a reveal. Like, maybe, like, I don't know, I'm showing my bias a little bit, but like Fight Club, when I first watched it, I don't know if I really understood what was going on with that. There's a lot of good shocking things. Wasn't Prometheus? Wasn't that like a shocking thing at the end? Or am I thinking something else? Anyway.
Not really.
Either way, I'm just
what was always a shocking movie to me? Lucky Number 11.
Yes.
That'll always be one of my...
I need to watch that with my wife. Dude, she needs to watch that.
Anyway, back to
the question. What was the question again? What order should we watch Star Wars in?
Order? I mean, you know what? I don't really think that there's one right or wrong answer, to be honest. Personally, I don't think I've ever watched them in chronological order.
I've never.
1 through 8, including like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, sorry. 1, 2, 3, Rogue One.
Solo, Rogue One, I think.
You're right. You're right. 1, 2, 3, Solo, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I mean, I want to do that. We should do that sometime.
I don't think I've ever actually done that. I've always... Because, again, it's different for us. That's the way we were raised. That's the way we were brought up. They were made in that order...
Like, originally, Star Wars... Like, Episode 4 was not Episode 4. It was Star Wars. And then it was Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. And then it was Star Wars Return of the Jedi, right?
And when they were making Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, they dubbed Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. After it had been like a year after it had come out, it was now Star Wars Episode 4.
So
A New Hope.
Exactly.
Which is really... You need to watch that documentary.
I do need to watch that, yeah.
It's how I learned all this stuff.
Where would I watch that?
Some stupid-ass shitty streaming app that nobody cares about.
Some dope-ass streaming app called Disney Plus. Okay, cool. Thank you.
No, but they talk about that and like how it was initially, it was Star Wars. Because they didn't know if they were going to get to make more. They didn't know. And initially, George's vision was, I'm going to make this movie. And when he sat down to write it, it became such a huge story that he was like, there's no way I can make this into I can make it onto one movie. Let me take this part and try to get this movie made. If it's successful, then I can make the other movies.
And I think it's clear, too, to some extent, that he also, like, retroactively went back and did things. Like, I don't think when
it's clear when watching this documentary, too, that was... Because there were things he clearly is like, I wanted to do it this way, like, but I couldn't because of time and because of technological limits.
Well, also, I'm just talking, like, I think... I'm not 100% certain, but I think when Leia kissed Luke in Episode 5, I think at that point, they had no idea that she was going to be his sister.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't heard about that, but that's interesting.
I think that in Episode 4, there was no idea that Darth Vader was Luke's dad.
Well, and at the time, it was like, no, I don't believe that. I feel like all of those things were... You need to watch that documentary.
I do. You're right.
All of these larger plot points had been built out in George's mind. He knew what he wanted to do. Right? He knew all the things that he wanted to happen. All the details obviously weren't fleshed out because he didn't write the screenplay.
He did for Episode 4.
Did he write the screenplay?
Yeah, he directed everything in Episode 4.
I didn't know that he actually wrote the screenplay.
Irving Kershner did Episode 5. And
I thought that Lawrence Kasdan wrote the screenplay. And George Lucas just directed it for Episode 4.
No, I'm pretty sure
Did he do everything?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Episode 5, for sure, he didn't direct or write the screenplay. Yeah. He just had the story. Mm-hmm. So he knew he knew all the major, like, you need to hit this point, you need to hit this point. Episode 6 wasn't directed by him either. It was Marquand. Something like that.
Richard
Marquand. But he knew all the... He's like, you have to hit this point, you have to this point, you have to this point, you have to this point. How they got there was kind of up to them a little bit, but he was trying to build a company. He was trying to start a company. He was trying to do all these other things to, like, make sure that he could... Like, one of the biggest points was he wanted his independence. He is famous for being an independent filmmaker, making the biggest films of all time. He didn't want the studios to have their hands in the fucking cookie jar telling him what to do and how to cut it. Either way, he had all the ideas that he wanted to do, but the original idea was just he wanted to get his initial story out. He did 4, 5, 6, and when he got to 6, he's like, okay, cool. I'm done. I did what I wanted to do. Episode 1, 2, and 3 wasn't even in his mind at that point. And then it came into fruition later, which is why I feel like I keep going back to you need to watch them 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, because that's the way he envisioned it. That's the way the story makes sense. That's the way that it was conceptualized.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
and, ultimately, I would say 4, 5, 6. But here's the thing. Now with the episodes 7, 8, 9, do you do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3? Do you do 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9? See, again, I think that complicates things.
You know what? I think this question is very difficult because there's no one right answer. I think, personally, as a Star Wars fan, I would be very interested to see what people's opinions are who have never seen Star Wars and know nothing about Star Wars to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. To go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3. To go
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. I think it would be super interesting. It would be a super interesting experiment to, like, see what their thought process and how they felt about it.
I think we should watch one, like, do 1, 2, 3 through 7 and 9 this year sometime.
I
when it's released
would
on Disney
love
Plus.
to actually
We should do that.
watch them in a row because I've only ever experienced them in the way that I grew up with them, and that's ultimately the answer to this question. Ultimately, the answer to this question, in my opinion, is you watch them in the way that they were released.
Now, when we say there's no right answer, there is something, in my opinion, that is now something that you can't not do, right? Mm-hmm. And that is, you can't not go from Rogue One to Episode 4.
That's a very good point.
So, and that's what me and Nora did. My wife and I were gonna rewatch. We wanted to rewatch.
But are there spoilers in Rogue One?
No,
that maybe would because now that the fact all the movies have come out, some of these movies that have come out later throw little nods in there to older movies that you wouldn't have noticed unless you've watched all the older movies first. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like there are those moments. So like there are some things that you'd be like, "What does that mean?" Or, "Oh my god, I didn't know that."
But I don't know. I think at least the.
But I don't disagree with you.
So, and my wife and I we wanted to rewatch. I wanted to rewatch all of them before Episode 9, but it was like middle of December, not middle. It was like beginning of December, and I was like, my schedule and shit. I know I'm not gonna have time, so we settled on 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And I was like, fuck.
You didn't even watch any of the prequels?
We can't not watch.
A bummer.
Like if we're gonna watch Episode 4, we have to start it with Rogue One.
Rogue One,
and we did, and it was awesome.
Well, it's because like the way it ends and the way it feeds into Episode 4 so fluidly and so perfectly,
like it could
and
be
also
one
like honestly, if I can pick one scene that I love most in all of Star Wars,
it's hard.
It's actually hard, but one of my favorite ones is Darth Vader in Rogue One, because that was the first time we got to see the brilliance and the absolute destruction and the ultimate power that is Darth Vader.
And I think that's something that they're doing better now with the new canon stuff, where like Darth Vader was known to be like the best dude, right? And we know that in like Episode 4. You know, they're just swinging these like rods around as if they're like 80-pound dumbbells, right?
So they basically were.
Yeah, and that's why, right? Like back
and this was also 1977.
It's back then, totally understandable. But
which is also interesting because they talk about Alec Guinness being a classically trained fencer.
Oh, was he?
So they tried to work that into
more fencing than it is.
It's more. It's more. And you gotta watch the documentary. Man.
I do. You're right.
They described it as two-handed fencing. That's kind of what they did because they were so heavy, and they were trying to work in some of the classic sword fighting at that time, which made sense. But yes.
So he's not exactly this like guy that, and he's wearing this costume that you see, and you're like, well, that's got to be like hindering, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Oh yeah.
But with Rogue One, we see. It's not. It's really not.
No.
With some of the Clone Wars stuff, with Darth Vader, or Rebels stuff, with Darth Vader, we're like, it's not. Spoiler alert. Stop now. Go ahead. 15 seconds. Jedi Fallen Order, when Darth Vader shows up at the end, and just like, you can't beat him. He's not gonna. You're not gonna win.
He's literally a character.
The only option is to run.
Right. Exactly.
And to me, just to me, that's so fucking awesome. I love that they're making him this unbeatable, ungodly-like person that he's been said to have been.
Exactly, because we've always known growing up, Darth Vader was the baddest motherfucker in the entire galaxy, but we haven't seen it. We haven't got the proof that he was the person that everyone was saying he was until Rogue One, and that was so unbelievably delicious to fucking watch and consume. Dude. It was amazing.
I got a boner when I watched it the first time. I did.
All right, so 30 minutes for one question.
Shit.
Final answer. What is your final answer?
So if I were to do this, I would say Rogue One, 4, 5, 6. Oh, god damn it. I don't know. Rogue One, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Solo. 7, 8, 9. because you can't do Solo before you watch 4, 5, 6, right? Maybe Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, Solo, just to get Han's backstory. No, you gotta watch that. You do gotta watch that before you watch 7, 8, 9, because you get the Han Solo. And what do you start with Episode 7? Or with the new sequel trilogy? It's Han's movie, right? So Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Solo, 7, 8, 9. That's what I'm gonna go with.
Say that one more time.
Rogue One, because you have to. 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Solo, 7, 8, 9. You got to get Solo's backstory a little bit. Know who he is.
That's a really good order, man. I actually really like that a lot. However, I'm a purist at heart, and I have to go with the order that they came out in.
4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And then just catch...
Rogue One. No. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, Rogue One, 8, Solo,
okay,
9.
All right.
Because
but here's
the only reason I say that is because it's like those movies came out and you know things at that point when those movies come out, and they do throw nods back to certain things, and you wouldn't know what those nods are unless you have seen the movies previous to them, the release date of that movie that you're watching.
I can see that.
Again, though, it's a loose answer for me because it would be very interesting to see people's reactions, people's thoughts who aren't Star Wars fans, who have never really been exposed to the Star Wars world and haven't seen any of them, to watch them in different orders based on either chronological or release date.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense.
It's a hard question to answer.
With my sister-in-law, she, again, watched it 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, right? She watched release order, didn't catch the anthology.
Okay.
And she really liked it, she said. So,
this is a hard question to answer. Ultimately, my answer is there's no right answer.
I do want to watch 1 through, 1, 2, 3, chronologically.
You know what the right answer is?
Solo. Whatever the fuck you want.
You know what the right answer is? Try it in multiple ways.
Yeah.
Do the order that came out. Do chronological. I like the order that you said. Rogue One, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Solo, 7, 8, 9. That's actually a very interesting order. And then we're not even talking about the TV shows.
We're not.
Because that feeds into it a lot.
It says Star Wars series.
It says Star Wars series.
Shit.
The TV shows fit in a whole entire different way.
True.
Which brings on a whole other...
you watch 1, 2, 3, all of Clone Wars.
No. 1, 2, Clone Wars.
3. Rebels.
No. Solo. Then Rebels. Wait.
Then Rogue One.
Hold on. Solo. Yeah, Solo. Then Rebels. Then Rogue One.
Then 4, 5, 6.
4, 5, 6. Then Resistance.
Oh, fuck. I forgot about Resistance.
No. Sorry. Then Mandalorian. Then Resistance. Then 7, 8, 9. See, when you count, there's too many things.
All right, let's move on to the next question.
The Star Wars Christmas special. We didn't
even talking about that.
Moving on. All right, what's our next question, bro?
The next question will be, which Star Wars character is your favorite and why?
Oh, Jesus. Are we talking about canon only?
Well, yeah, let's go with canon only. We can talk about newly canonized.
Let's do both. Let's start with canon. Let's start with canon. I want to hear what yours is. We should do a top 5, because this is a really fucking hard question to answer.
Top 5 is a lot, but
maybe top 2 or 3.
I gotta go. Just in general, favorite is probably Palpatine. I just have to do it. I don't know why, but I mean, not
favorite.
I don't know why.
Favorite Palpatine.
I gotta go with Palpatine because.
All right, let's hear the explanation.
All right. So if you think about it in the grand scheme, not all of it's canonized, but if you think about it in that, the Sith were trying to rule the galaxy for the longest time, right? And then Darth Bane, what I like about Darth Bane is that he kind of came out of, he started the whole World War II, right? he started this whole process of like, we need to live in the shadows. This little power dynamic thing where we eat our own can't really exist.
Yep.
Because we're going to eat our own and they're not, right? So, we're going to lose every time.
Exactly.
So, Palpatine was like the culmination of all that. Like, he was the one that took that ideology and 1,000, whatever, I don't know if it's canonized now, but however long it was.
Actually put it into effect and realized the dream,
and he quite
the idea.
Literally ruled the galaxy.
Yep.
Like, democratically. Well, not really democratically elected.
Yeah.
At first. No, wait. Was he democratically elected?
Well, we don't know if he was democratically or if it was because of
Either
his
way,
manipulation.
He rose to power
and
in
powers.
an official way, right?
But
Not
he was
over.
nominated with Bail Antilles of Alderaan and what is what's his face say in episode 1? The black dude, the captain of
Panaka.
Panaka. He's like Bail Antilles of Alderaan and something of Malastare.
Yeah. So it was between them and he won, right?
And he won, but did he win because he was elected or did he win because
I'm sure he was,
Palpatine
his
and
Russian-like propaganda. But in all honesty, like, to me, I like the idea of him being this like puppet master behind the scenes all the time in episodes 1 through 3, in episodes 4, 5, 6, and now we find out episodes 7, 8, 9.
But again,
and I love that.
Well, that's pretty fucking amazing. But Darth Bane was also a puppet master.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying it's probably nostalgia to some extent.
Yeah.
Like knowing, like growing up with the prequels. Like we grew up with the prequels, right? We watched 4, 5, 6 when we were kids. And then 7, 8, 9, or 1, 2, 3 came out when 1 came out when I was 10.
Yep.
9. Turning 10 soon.
Yeah.
And so, like, we grew up with that shit, right?
Right.
And to me, that was awesome to watch that, like, the politicking of episodes 1 through 3. And to me, and then reading a lot of the, now Legends, but some of the old EU stuff, I love Palpatine. That he's got to be my favorite.
Hey, man, listen, I can't argue with you.
Cheers. Doing a shot to our, pouring one out for our homeboy, Palpatine.
Listen, I can't argue with you. I can't argue with you on Palpatine. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. However, I'm a sucker for, like, old school lore. I don't know why I've always been attracted to, like, where did this come from? What was the ancient history about it? Even like when they announced the whole Game of Thrones thing and they were going to do a storyline about 3,000 years before all this shit started, I was more excited than I was for Game of Thrones. I don't know why. That's why I love Knights of the Old Republic so much. It's because it was like, where did this come from? I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. And going back to the whole Darth Bane thing, he's definitely one of my favorite characters.
I mean, we would be like bad podcast hosts if we didn't mention the like founding father of the name of our podcast.
Okay, well, I'm getting there. Relax. So, I definitely obviously love Darth Bane. I'm not a reader. The one series of books that I read from cover to cover without stopping was the Darth Bane series, and you read literally nothing. I literally read nothing. That's why I depend on you. If it wasn't for you, this podcast wouldn't exist. But I did read those books, and of the very few books I have read, that was the best story I've ever come across. Ever.
Those were sick.
Fucking fantastic. I love every single inch of it, and it has also. That series of books has reaffirmed my decision for my favorite Star Wars character of all time. And I also think like you and I are suckers for like dark side characters. Who?
Isn't it Zara or something?
Zahana?
It's a joke, but
Yeah.
Poorly.
But and also I feel like we have an affinity toward the dark side for just a little bit. But so again, going back to this whole reason that the Sith who they are is because Darth Bane came up with this idea, right? This idea to prolong the Sith religion, to prolong the lifespan of this entire idea of there's one master, there's one apprentice. If there's more than that, everyone's just going to try to kill each other because they all want power. You want one person to have the power, one person to crave it, and then the whole idea is you kill the person that has the power, you have it now, and then you find somebody else to crave it, and it just goes on and on. And it worked, in theory, obviously, fantastically, because
it just took 1,000 years.
It took a while, but it still worked to perfection. I mean,
yeah.
There's only two people, and with two people, it's going to take a while, but it still worked.
Like, it's not that, like, that person goes away. Like, in theory, one would assume, like, the master would then transcend into the apprentice, right? Like, this kind of the idea behind it.
Leads me to my next point, which they kind of, sort of, I feel like canonized in The Rise of Skywalker, was that the idea at the end of the Darth Bane book series was that Darth Bane, the thing that he was struggling with throughout that entire third book was that I could keep going on, but because I have chosen to learn the ways of the dark side, it unfortunately has
crush my body
consequences on your physical form. That's why Jedi live longer, because it doesn't deteriorate their physical form. So his big dilemma was, how do I find a way to keep living on and keep learning and keep trying to pass on my teachings with the limitation of your physical form? So the idea was, again, and the assumption was that when he fought his apprentice at the end was he transferred his consciousness, his life force, his whole entire being into his apprentice.
Like, essentially, he became
his apprentice.
Yeah.
So, and it was kind of, I feel like it was kind of confirmed at the end of the book. And the end of this book was so, I'm not going to get into it, but it was so good. Drew Karpyshyn, word up. It was so great. And then in Rise of Skywalker, when Sidious, spoiler alert, says, all of the Sith live in me. I'm like, oh, they kind of just told us that theory is basically true. It's like that master and apprentice have just like, been transferring their conscious.
You will be Empress Palpatine.
Exactly.
But only because I'm going to enter your body.
You kill me.
I will enter you without your permission.
I learned the thing back when Darth Bane did. And I'm just going to go into you. And it's just going to be over and over and over again. Which is a genius fucking idea.
He didn't care if... I mean,
he didn't care if Darth Vader was going to kill him?
If, like, Darth Vader was going to kill him or Luke was going to kill him, you know, like...
Didn't matter. He was going to go into...
You know, I mean, like...
Which also kind of puts a flaw in the plan because he got killed, but Darth Vader got killed, but then Luke Skywalker didn't become
and then he
either one of them.
Also did get killed by Rey. Like, he did get killed. But, like, doesn't matter the way in which you're killed. Maybe that's what happens. I don't know.
Maybe.
But either way, say that.
So my original answer, the whole idea behind this, Darth Bane did not come up with this idea. He learned it from a holocron, from somebody...
Not canon, though.
Okay, not canon, but this character is canon.
Not canon.
The character is canon. The character I'm talking about is canon.
Are now canon.
The story behind it is not.
May not be canon. We don't know.
But the idea behind it is just so amazing to me because, first of all, the game was fantastic. And also, he learned it from somebody who had been on both sides. He was kind of the first idea of a true balance to the Force.
Revan? Oh, shit. I just spoiled it.
Yes, Aaron, thank you. Darth Revan. Darth Bane went to all these planets and found holocrons of Darth Revan talking about this idea that the Sith will destroy each other because they're all after power and they'll all kill each other. You have to have two people, one to have the power and one to crave it. And that's where Darth Bane got the idea. So yes, Darth Bane is credited with coming up with the idea of the rule of two, but it wasn't his idea. It was Revan's idea.
It's like a professor in college, you know, who makes the paper.
Right.
But he has like TAs doing all the work on.
Right. And Darth Revan was limited by his time and what was going on, and he couldn't enact it. He put the idea into
lost his memory
writings. Well, that too. But he put the idea, the philosophy, into something that could be preserved for someone to find who was worthy of being able to act it out. That happened to be Darth Bane, which is, again, no discredit to Darth Bane because he was able to do it and do it well. But it wasn't that. I keep going back to Revan.
Can one assume that my answer when I say Palpatine is the answer actually Darth Bane?
It could be assumed.
Maybe.
It's a very interesting answer, but I think we almost have the same answer.
Yeah, I think so.
It's very close.
My second answer would be Darth Revan, so because Darth Revan, like the story arc, and I guess the story arc is like what was old canon was that he turned Jedi, but whatever. Either way, like his lore and just the maybe it's my nostalgia, but the idea that he was this guy that was like, I'm a Jedi, I want to go like kind of Anakin like, right? I feel like Anakin would be the same idea, and like we can't let these worlds get conquered. We are the protectors of the galaxy, whatever. We need to go intervene, right? I feel like that's something Anakin would do as well,
right?
But like that kind of hero's mindset going out there, and then kind of finding things that were not what he was expecting to find, that turned him to the dark side, right? That's kind of what happened with Revan to an extent,
basically.
And it, it would have been a lot better if those fuckers didn't make him lose his memory, and then he had to go through terrorists and all that shit again.
Well, that's a whole other conversation. Anyway. All right, so very quickly, if it had to be a light side, the Jedi, who would you pick? First instinct.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go Mace Windu.
Mace Windu.
He taps into the dark side. That's like his fighting style.
He taps into the dark side? Where is that canonized?
It may not be canonized. It may not be canon anymore. But in Shatterpoint, I think is what it was called. It was
I remember book. Shatterpoint.
Yeah, it was an old book about like how his fighting style literally was that he kind of gets onto the edge, and not many people can do it. If you do it, you'll probably go to the dark side. But some people can do that. And he was able to use the power of the dark side to essentially win in what you're doing, and then kind of take a step back.
And then come back.
And now, whether or not, I don't know, like, my favorite dude is Palpatine. Did Mace Windu actually best Palpatine? We may never know, but it's possible, right? It's possible. And it may be possible because he tapped into the dark side when he was doing it. So, and also I like Sam Jackson. And
my philosophy is that we all think he bested Palpatine, but Palpatine did it on purpose because he knew Anakin was coming and he needed to use that situation to turn Anakin to the dark side.
I think so. I mean, that's...
And again, feeding into the reason that Palpatine is a fucking genius and an amazing motherfucker.
I would have said Luke, but the Last Jedi ruined Luke for me, so I can't say Luke anymore.
My answer is probably Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon is dope.
Because he was also one of those people who were like... He clearly didn't believe in everything the Jedi believed in. He believed in what was right. He believed in the right thing to do. He believed in that middle ground. He believed in like, I'm sorry, yes, I'm a Jedi, but the beliefs that you have are stupid and don't make sense because of X, Y, and Z. And we should trust this thing because of X, Y, and Z. And he
need to read Master and Apprentice. I should reread it. And we do an episode.
Was that awesome book that you got at Celebration, the special edition?
A lot of that has to do with
that pin. Yeah, you fucking asshole.
A lot of that has to do with it. They do different time periods, and I feel like there's another book where they do.
We need to do a holocron data dump.
We do. There's another book where they talk about Yoda and Dooku. I feel like. And then this one ties into that. I can't remember what that other book is. But this one kind of ties into the same thing, where like it was like Yoda and Dooku, and then this one was like Qui-Gon and
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, but there were still some aspects of Dooku in there. And Qui-Gon is very prophecy oriented. right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's very into that sort. And obviously he is in that, but he kind of was, and then he wasn't anymore, and then he saw something that made him feel that way. But he took Obi-Wan as his apprentice, who was more kind of like or Obi-Wan towed the line of the Jedi Council, not Jedi Council, but like of like, yo, Master, we can't be doing this because like the Council will be mad, or like this isn't the way the Jedi is, and Qui-Gon more towed the line of like his master Dooku, who was like, it was like
it doesn't matter if the Council don't want this. This is what's right, kind of deal.
And then
which is why I loved Qui-Gon so much, man.
I feel like Obi-Wan ended up taking that to some extent and using that with Anakin, and then Anakin obviously was,
honestly, Anakin went the wrong way, unfortunately, but you know what? And Obi-Wan's a close second because he was able to take that teachings and put it in a way that made sense to him, but also he was still purely good.
Obi-Wan,
there's a reason he survived. There's a reason he survived and survived for so long and was able to transcend because he was such a good. He understood the balance between the two sides, and he was like, he knew how much he loved Anakin, and not like in a gay way, but like I love you, not in a gay way, right? Like there were literally brothers, they were literally like family, and he recognized that, right? And you can't have that technically as a Jedi, and I'm supposed to have that sort of connection, right? Exactly.
But he did with Anakin. And I don't even remember this. I think this is a pretty badass moment. Not badass, but a moment in episode 3 where he's like, "Yo, send me to kill the Emperor." Like Yoda, like, "Yeah, I'll kill. I can't do this with Anakin."
I can't kill Anakin.
Yoda's like, "Bitch, no, you can't do that. You go kill that motherfucker. I'll do my best."
You're a Jedi. This is what you do.
Essentially saying like, you'll die.
Yeah.
If you do that, right?
Right.
Anyway, to me, that's more of like I would rather die than fucking kill Anakin sort of moment to me. And I don't know. And that to me shows that while, yes, he did toe the line a lot and he was that person to follow that kind of like to the T, didn't always do it that way.
That's a really good point. And there's a reason that Obi-Wan is the character who has been throughout all of these series, and there's a reason that they're doing another TV series about Obi-Wan, and there's a reason they pick, like, yes, Qui-Gon might be my favorite light side person, but Obi-Wan's a very close second,
and
for so many reasons.
Part of me also gets influenced by the actors that portrayed them, but like, the actors that portrayed Obi-Wan
the problem.
Are so good,
dude, so good. So and Qui-Gon too. They're so good. I think that's the problem. What it makes it easy about Darkseid is there's the people that I like, they have not been portrayed by anybody because they don't technically exist. They do, but they haven't been portrayed in anything that has been officially canonized.
That's true.
Which makes it easier to pick them because
Ben
don't base it on not by an. I mean, he was an animation.
By an actor. Yeah.
He was an animation, right? Like. I think of Qui-Gon Jinn, I mostly like him because Liam Neeson is a fucking badass, and I love Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness. Like it's hard to pick a light side character because there's so many more of them in live action depictions of Star Wars than there are of the dark side because there's only 2 at a time.
I feel you on that one. All right.
So ultimate last answer, mine is Revan. Yours,
Palpatine.
Done.
Okay. Why don't we do one more? And then we will, because I don't know, I like this. I think this is good.
We've got other questions. Let's do a part 2.
We'll do a part 2 because there's so many questions that the fans are writing in, and well, that'll happen later. But for right now, we found a few questions. There's so many of them, and we could talk about this all day. So we'll go to our last one, easy one, kind of.
What's our next? What's our next question?
One will be: which Star Wars movie is your favorite, and why?
You think that's an easy question?
Well, okay, it's not easy. The Last Jedi, because it kills.
Fuck yourself.
Because it kills the entire saga.
I think the easier question would be which one's your least favorite Star Wars movie.
Man, this is tough.
I'm not. Are you ready to give this answer? Do you? I'm gonna pass it off to you.
I'm gonna go with nostalgia.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, we can't pick the same goddamn movie.
Well, okay,
so
let me give my reasoning here for a second. One, I'd like to think that I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who saw this in theaters, to think about how crazy, like we talked about this before, where that was such a crazy reveal, right? That Darth Vader was Luke's father. And to me, that was the first movie where it kind of ended in a way that wasn't exactly hopeful for people, right? It starts off with them getting demolished on Hoth. They have to flee. Right. They flee to a planet. Well, they're separated. The Empire is like closing in. They kind of consolidate into this planet, and then boom, trap.
It's very much like the second act of a play.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, that's a good point to put it. Like,
and
it is
that's kind of the intention of the
second
trilogy,
act of
right?
trilogy of like, here's the hope. Maybe it ends here. We don't know. Will we get money to make more?
The second act is where everything goes wrong and everything is, there's no hope.
Yeah. And
the third act is where it all comes together.
His hand, they end it like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? I have no idea. And to me, I don't know. I feel like that's good storytelling. I feel like that is a great, a great twist. And also, like, that lightsaber battle was just better than the first one, right? Like, the first one was just like two old people swinging sticks. This one was two young people swinging heavy sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was slightly better. We got to see Darth Vader kind of using his force powers out of nowhere to throw shit. We got the twist.
You also think about it, there's way more sets. There's way more scenes. There's way more planets. Episode 4, Tatooine, the Death Star.
Yavin.
Yeah. And then space, so you can count space.
We get
Episode 5, Hoth,
Dagobah,
Bespin, Dagobah,
space, asteroids, aliens, like space worms, all sorts of things. Yeah,
there's
that's a good point.
So many more. It's so much more complex in Episode 5. And given the extreme success of Episode 4, they're like, okay, now we have to make this. Episode 5 needs to be bigger and better and more amazing than anybody ever could believe that it could be. Otherwise, we're fucked. So it had so much more depth, so many more atmospheres, so much more context. There was so much more complexity in that movie. I mean, I honestly, I want to agree with you. Episode 5 is probably my favorite one. I think another one is so many reasons.
Humor as well. Like we've talked about in the past, how like The Last Jedi, in my opinion, kind of sucked at humor. Right? They kind of forced it in there.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. But like with Episode 5, I feel like the humor was just natural, you know? Like, oh, like the odds of successfully navigating a thing, blah, blah. So never tell me the odds. Like, it's not, I don't know. It's not like humor, but it's subtle that makes it funny, that adds to the characters that shows you.
And it makes it more realistic for the viewers, too. Because, like, real life, it needs to be humorous. It needs to have the ups and downs. Like, it can't all be serious. It can't all be serious. It has to have,
but it can't take you out of the story at the same time.
Exactly. It had humor in a way that it didn't take you out of the story, which Last Jedi was horrible at. It took you out of the fact that you were watching a Star Wars movie.
Agreed.
Like, this isn't a fucking YouTube video that you're trying to, like, be funny. No. This is a serious space drama. Be realistic. Put humor in it that makes sense. And they just didn't do it. But Episode 5 did it fantastically. And Irvin Kershner has said that before. Like, I wanted to have humor, but I wanted it to make sense. So I kind of agree with you with Episode 5. The only other one that kind of stands out to me,
I think we're gonna agree on this one as well.
On 3. 1, 2, 3.
3.
Rogue One.
Oh shit.
Oh.
All right. I was gonna say 3 because, again, nostalgia. I feel like that was one of the ones
I was trying to take nostalgia out of it and just kind of like focus on the movie itself. But I don't disagree with you. Nostalgia purposes, yes, but you and I are the only ones who agree on that.
Does also go back to my Palpatine love and like seeing him rise to power and all that sort of stuff.
And another thing that gave us that not a lot of other movies have given us and have taken away, actually, is lightsaber battles.
Yes.
There was more lightsaber battles in that motherfucker than all of the movies combined, probably.
And dope lightsaber battles, too.
Dope
dude.
lightsaber battles. That's
that shit.
Why I love episode 3
That's why I like
so
the prequels
much.
in general.
The prequels in general. The lightsaber battles were... Oh, dude, I just want to eat them up. Like, it's so...
Just give me more of that.
Oh,
dude.
are you kidding me? There's...
Like, sequel trilogy, like, they seem more... I don't know, not savage, but more, like, primal. Like, they don't really know what they're doing exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, when they're battling, you know?
Right.
And while that's not bad, I don't think that's bad. I actually kind of like that aspect of it because they're not trained exactly, right? Like, the Jedi were trained to do lightsaber battles, right?
But they were.
Well, Kylo was.
Kylo was trained, and so was Rey at that point. At episode 9, she was trained by Leia. Who was trained by Luke. Who was trained by Yoda.
Yeah, true.
Who was trained by Obi-Wan.
True. But,
like,
now, having said that, if I were... why don't we jump into the next one? How we're going to rank... We'll do 4. We'll do 4 questions this time. How would you rank the Star Wars movies? I think I would do 5.
Oh my god.
And if I'm like taking nostalgia out of it, I think I put Rogue One up there.
I think we have to take nostalgia out of it. Just
I think I put Rogue One.
Quality of movie. This is really hard.
I think I do 5, Rogue One, 6, 4, Solo, 3, 9, 1, 7, 8. No, 1, 2, 7, 8.
I was gonna say 8's not the last one. Are you joking? Okay,
I forgot about 2.
All right. Oof. All right. Okay.
Because
oh my goodness,
you mentioned Rogue One, and again, to me, Rogue One is almost a perfect Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Again, it's just hard to take the nostalgia of it. I fucking love.
It can't be a perfect Star
Wars.
Wars.
So dark.
You know what the thing is? Without Rogue One, it can't be a perfect Star Wars film without the other films.
You're right, man. But like to me, again, with Rogue One, where like we see Cassian Andor, a rebellion spy, a good guy. Like one of the first things we see this dude do is murder someone.
Murder somebody, yeah.
Just out of nowhere.
It's real.
And why?
It makes
because
it
he
real.
has to.
It makes it real.
He has to do it.
Rogue One is like is the first movie we see where people who are down in the dirt, people are down and like, you know, doing the things that need to happen in order for all these higher level flamboyant motherfuckers to succeed. He's doing the dirty things that you don't want to hear about.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Right.
And that's why I'm excited about his series.
I am too.
I hope it gets that gritty. And I think that's something with Solo as well, where like Solo's not exactly as gritty or like as like dark-ish, but there is that scene with the war where like the war seems real. It's not just people shooting at each other like in a corridor or whatever. It's like a battlefield.
Yeah. It's like real life.
People are
it's
like stormtroopers are dying and they're like sad and they're like
which is why I liked Solo so much too.
Again, yeah.
All right. Oh, fuck me. I feel like I have to go 5. I have to go 5 first. I mean, for obvious reasons. I gotta go 4 after that because that was the original. We're taking nostalgia out of it.
Try and
take nostalgia out of it. Okay, all right.
To an extent.
Oh fuck.
That's why I didn't put 3 up as high as I would with nostalgia.
Okay, just movie quality and storytelling and whatever. Okay. 5. Fuck. This is not an easy question to answer.
No, it's not. What did I say again? I said 5. Did I say 6? I think I said 5, 6, Rogue One, 3. No, 4, 3, 1. No, 9, 1, 7, 8.
You didn't put Solo in there.
Fuck. Oh, God. I need to write this down. There's so many of them. Solo's up there, though.
To be continued. I really can't answer this right now. This is too much of a. It's not an easy question. answer. I don't.
Top three. Let's go top three. We'll think about it. We'll do it another round.
Top three. Top three. Pure storytelling. Star Wars films. Are we taking special effects into account?
Everything you want. Yes.
Aside from nostalgia.
Okay. Understanding that, yes, 4, 5, and 6 don't necessarily have the best special effects, but
okay. All right.
You can still take that into account.
5. Top 3. 5. Rogue One 4.
Okay. Mine would be 5. Rogue One and probably 6. Just Palpatine and all that shit.
The only reason I went Rogue One 4 is because they just fit so...
I know it's hard.
And 4 is like the one. The 4 is where it started. But again, that's taking nostalgia into account. So, you know what? Whatever you said. Fuck it.
I mean, mine's not right.
Nope. I'm doing whatever you said. Fuck it. I'm done. This is too hard to answer.
It's tough. Well, I just want to say thank you to all of the people writing in to ask us questions that we found online. We want you guys to send us stuff. We have, RoTKast@gmail.com. Keep sending those questions in. Keep sending them in. If you don't, we'll do what we did this time and find them online. And we'll go from there. Do you have anything else that you want to say?
Yeah, I do. May the Force be with you. And Merry Christmas.
And with your spirit.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Peace.